I can say that the city is well aware of this issue in terms of minority and women-owned businesses. They hired James Witt, whose sole responsibility is to make sure that, first of all, identify existing businesses and to help them become certified so they're eligible for government contracts. So that's an important vision, strategic vision to grow those. We know that the Ready also has provides significant support for new businesses, but particularly minority-owned businesses. They have an incubator there encouraging entrepreneurship, not only for adults, but also for high school students, growing those businesses. The other issue is, of course, that as new corporations are coming in and we negotiate the contracts with these new businesses are coming in, because of our commitment to social equity, we're requiring that their hiring practices reflect the demographics of our city. So, for example, the Aurora Organic Dairy coming in, they made the promise of 100 new living wage jobs. 50% of those jobs must go to women, 10% to African Americans, and that's just the minimum. And so because we are negotiating in good faith in these areas, I'm confident that we're going to address this issue of African American unemployment.
It's amazing the number of people, skilled people in my neighborhood in Central City, and there's this concept called asset mapping, where instead of looking at the needs of a place, you can actually map what the assets are, and it's a way to find out what's there and connect people. Some other things is we give incentives to these corporations who come in. We could give incentives to small businesses, to entrepreneurs, to people who are starting out. Another thing I think would make a huge difference would be if we had accessible internet. In a city like Chattanooga, Tennessee, they have internet that's as high speed as it is in Hong Kong that costs like $40 a month. I have a neighbor who makes about $800 a month who's spending $90 a month just to stay connected to slow internet. I think that if we gave people access, that could go a long way towards connecting people to business possibilities.
One of the things that was outlined in the survey of the strategic plan last year, if I'm recalling correctly, was that a lot of folks in the strategic neighborhoods had lack of access to transportation. A lot of times they had to walk, a lot of times they had to get a ride from a friend or a family member. So what that means, when I look at it, is that we're going to look at combating minority unemployment and as well as minority lack of business ownership. And that means we have to build businesses in the first ward, since that is primarily where these neighborhoods are. So that means more grants. Instead of money, for instance, selling land for $2 million when we bought it for $3 million, using that $1 million that we could have gotten and parceling it out in small business grants to build businesses locally. Another thing is that something that was always tossed around in my household was, my dad was a small businessman, and so it was this idea of how do you make $1 million with business? You start with $2 million, which is the unfortunate thing is that we have to work on building social equity in our communities, especially in the first ward, and able to build those opportunities and build those stable bases that people can launch businesses from. Parceling out grants is one step, raising the minimum wage is another step, but also, as Dr. Ruffin said, pushing education of these social equity programs. When I worked in the Blind Youth Community Center, we never heard about small business incubators for our kids to go to. We never heard about Ready, and the fact of the matter is that these programs are so great and we're doing so many cool things, but we need to find ways to connect our communities to those resources. No matter what the city creates, if we're not getting enough applications and not generating enough competition, we're not going to be able to have the full impact of those social equity programs. So it's unifying communities together and getting private and public interest to help catapult or boost, I should say, minority employment